from us is Oz, a strip club. And a lot of times we look at places like this and we think, they just rejected God. Man, Jesus goes into that kind of place and finds this woman, and he's talking to Christians. He's telling his guys, look, would you look? Look, the field is ready. He's like, God has already gone before you of the world. And you see, that's what it takes for you to be saved. If you don't know this morning that when you die that you're going to heaven, if you don't know that you are the Lord's and that He is yours, what it takes is for you to hear His voice. You see, at some point, they listened to her testimony, and because of that, they went to Jesus and they heard His voice. And the same thing happened inside of them that had happened in her. Band, you can come on back up. We're going to close in some worship. I want to leave you with just a story of something that happened to me 2 weeks ago. It was right before we left for our recent trip to Nicaragua. I was in my home and I was doing morning devotions. There was no vehicles in my driveway because my truck was parked over on the far side of my yard. Family was gone. And I heard a knock at the door. And I thought, man, who in the world is this? There's no car outside. It's kind of early. I go to the door and it's a woman. She's sweating. She's a little bit dirty. She looks like she's going to pass out. She's probably in her late 60s, and she's crying. And she has a paper in her hand, and she says, "Can you please help me? I'm lost." And I said, "Well, what happened? How did you get here?" And she said, "I was going to visit a friend, and I don't have a way of going, so I took the bus, and I tried to follow the directions, but somewhere along the line, I made a wrong turn." And I said, "Well, let me go get my phone. I'll look at the address. We'll GPS it. And you guys, if you would, can just begin to play to the Lord." I grab my phone. I come out. We pull up the address, and I expanded for her. I'm trying to point. Well, you should have turned here. You turned this way. It was, about 4 blocks down further. And she's just overwhelmed. I said, Christian thing to do. "Well, let me get you a cup of coffee to take on your trip." Because she's a woman, she's older, but I'm thinking, man, I don't want to put her in my truck right now and drive her there. I'm just being honest with you. But I'll give her a cup of coffee, though, in the name of the Lord. And a Bible tract, too. So I drew her a little map from the GPS, gave her the coffee. She started to walk off. And I'm looking at her, and I've had 2 hip replacements, so I know bad hips. And she's like dragging one leg, and she's somebody's mother, she didn't come out of the woods, but even if she had, but she's somebody's mother, she really just lost. I went back inside and I sat down, and the Spirit of God said to me, "What if your mother was lost in some strange neighborhood?" And I directed her to the home of one of my sons, and they sent her away with a cup of coffee and a map. Would you be okay with that? And I thought, no, God, I wouldn't. So I got dressed, I got in my truck, and I went looking for her. And I found her. She turned the wrong way again. My map hadn't held. She's now further than she was, away from the right place. And man, I watched her just stop. And she stops and she starts crying in the parking lot up off East Bay, looking at this map, frustrated. And you see, as believers, what I want you to hear this morning is, man, we need to stop giving people the map. If that's all we're willing to do. We need to be able to enter in like Jesus does, even if there's a risk that we look a little strange or a little inappropriate or different. We need to be able to take them hand in hand, get shoulder to shoulder, and walk with them. And I put her in my truck, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I understand, because I did this wrong at first. And I brought her to the place, and I dropped her off, and I knew, man, that was for me more than anything. And I felt the Lord say to me, Scott, there's people, they're not sweating, they're not crying, and they're not in your neighborhood, and they're not going to knock on your door, but they're no less lost than this woman is. They work with you, they live next to you, they're in your family. You're going to eat dinner with some of them tonight, tomorrow, and though they put on that face, man, they're lost inside. They're like this woman at the well. They're exhausted, they're tired of making the journey only to survive, and they're waiting for someone who knows God. They may not know it, but who'll come along with something more than a map, and who will say, hey, I want to do more than tell you. I want to show you. But I'm looking at ex-convicts. I'm looking at people who've been to jail, federal, state, prison. I'm looking at women who I know have come from a background of promiscuity. I'm looking at people who've navigated divorces and broken lives. I'm looking at people who knows what it means to be alone and lonely, and who Jesus has healed and touched. And you can be those who have eyes to see, who can reap the harvest that he's talking about this morning. I want people to know that. I want you to know that. If you're not there this morning, these are people that will walk with you. If you're here this morning as we continue to worship, and you say, man, I need to just get right with God, you come up. There's people here today, Lord, that are lost, Lord. May not be that they've never said a prayer, but it is that they are lost. They're not walking with you. Where they're standing testifies of something, Lord, but you alone know the heart, Lord. So regardless of where someone is sitting or standing, Lord, you know them just like you knew that woman at the well, Lord. You could sit down with them, Jesus, just like you did with her, and begin to just unfold their life. Lord, for any heart that would call upon you this morning, that would just say, Jesus, I need fresh forgiveness. I haven't been walking with you. I haven't been living the way that I should.